Hello, everybody. I'm Toby Shifsky. I'm the Executive Director of Kaplan Real Estate Education, and we have gone through another year. 2022 is just about over, and we are here because it's really all about 2023. And we have a special guest, Adam Hergenrother. Adam, thank you for being a real expert professional again with us.
Thank you for having me on. It's always I always enjoy our conversations, and I know our interests are aligned and helping everybody else that's on this call.
Absolutely. So everybody, this is 30 minutes. It's going to go quick. If you've got to leave for any reason, no worries. We will email this link out to you. You can watch it next week when it gets sent out to you. But we'd love it if you could stay, play along. We're going to have a couple poll questions. We're going to have some chats. And by all means, participate with us today because Adam's got some insight and some wisdom. And, if you don't know who Adam is, let me just properly introduce him. Adam's got a lot going on. Adam is the founder and CEO of Adam Hergenrother companies, which include Livian, KW Vermont, Keller Williams Three Bridge, Keller Williams Premier Properties, BlackRock Construction, the founder and the Force Multiplier, and Hergenrother Foundation. So, Adam, you're an entrepreneur at heart. And I mean, come on, let's just call it like it is. But Adam's built, thriving organizations by creating a culture where personal growth and work-life integration come first, right? So Adam Hergenrother Companies is a powerhouse connector, matching talent with opportunities, the community with resources, clients with realtors, investors with projects, and goals with high-impact content and training. When he's not leading and growing his organization, you can find Adam either in the mountains or out in nature with his wife and 3 kids. Adam, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and open up the big video window, and I am going to do that now. So, Adam, I want to jump in as quickly as possible. And I really want to start off by saying, first off, I guess I should back up 1 second. I got a poll question. I need to find out. I think we want to know who's exactly in here listening to us. Everybody, these poll questions are anonymous. Nobody's going to see your answer like that you answered it, but everybody gets to play along. I always share the results of these polls. So I'm going to go ahead and post a poll, and it really is, how long have you been in the business of real estate? So take your time. If you're on your cell phone, you're going to have to maybe slide to the next screen and be able to answer this poll question. Go ahead and click into the poll and answer the question as fast as you can, because we want to know. And generally, Adam, I think, we have a lot of brand new people on here, and we get a lot of grizzled, wizened veterans like, like you, like me. I've been in the business. I just had my 31st year, I think, completed. So 1991, wow. I got licensed, right? And so everybody's going to get something out of this, and I know it. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to share the results. Here we go. I'm going to end the poll. Nice. Well, this is actually really interesting. So everybody, why don't you take a look at this? So I think the key, I made the question pretty specific. Yeah. So less than 3 years. You are a unique group of people if you've been in the business less than 3 years. 3 to 10 years. Right? Good for you. You got in 2012 or later. That was a very good run we've had. We just had a really nice run. 10 plus years. Some of you people, you probably were there in 2006, 2007, during the mortgage meltdown, the financial crisis. You have some real insight. And then how about these brave souls, right? 56% of the people on here, they're not even licensed yet. They are in our licensing courses, and they're looking for any sort of help possible. You all are in luck today. All right, Adam, without further ado, I want to ask you a question, and it's pretty straightforward. What is the first step to creating an inspiring growth plan for 2023? And let me just set this up. If you don't know who Adam is, I'm sure you can all go Google him, and entrepreneur. And the thing I know is that people who are in real estate, you're your own business owner generally, and you generally have an entrepreneurial spirit. Surround yourself with entrepreneurs, find out what makes them tick, find out the ones that are successful. And Adam, you are on a trajectory that is successful. And so thank you for being here. But once again, what is the first step to creating, how are you creating your, inspiring growth plan for 2023?
Yeah, every time we look to create business plans for Livy and our team, basically, right? The number one thing I think people need to do is they need to understand what level of action they're willing to take that's associated with their goal. And I think most people right now, the way I'm seeing this, especially if you've been in real estate, we'll talk to two different levels. You've been in real estate for a little while. The last couple years have really been this organic growth phase, right, Toby? Like, it's been basically you bumped into business, they just kind of fell into your lap. You could do things that became, that are very natural to you. You didn't have to be as focused. But we're coming into a time in real estate where you have to actually completely change this. You have to be focused. You have to have priorities, and you have to have goals that you're following through. But most importantly, you're going to have to do things that become unnatural in order for you to break through this ceiling. And one of those first things is actually determining, a lot of people want to get into real estate for the freedom, but the freedom is what actually gets a lot of people out of real estate. So I always think about saying it like this: is you have to have discipline equals freedom. And what I mean by this is, the reason why people are spending their times on weekends and evenings showing houses is because they don't have enough clients to dictate their schedule. I mean, we sold almost 4,000 homes last year, right? So my team did. And so when you think about it from there, what we're doing is, if you lead generate for a period of time each morning, you generate enough clients that you can able to work with and dictate your schedule. So the first thing that I always think about is, what level of action am I willing to do in order to get my goal? So you could have it as a financial goal, which you could break down to the number of transactions. You could have it into a transaction goal, whatever it is. You have to understand, what is my goal? And then, am I willing to take that level of action to get there? And think about it this way: if you want to go out and run a marathon, but you didn't really want to go out there and run more than a mile every day, you probably should sign up for a 5K, right? It's probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
So the goal here is to figure out what level of action I'm willing to take, because thinking plus action equals a result. So if you want something to change in your life for 2023, what is going to change first? Is it your thinking that leads to a new action, or action leading to a new result that then increases your level of thinking? And that's what people is on people's mind right now, is how do I break through? If you're newly licensed coming in here, there's a reason why you're stepping into real estate. And so the thing that you have to do is, we have t-shirts that say like head down, heart up. And what that really means is, coming into 2023 is, you got to put your head down and do the focused work. You have to build, you have to be focused long enough to make it a habit so that you can grow from there. And so, the second thing I'll just mention real quick, the first step to this plan is, why are you in real estate to begin with? I think a lot of people this is a great question for veterans or people new into real estate, because I think a lot of people told me over the last that have been in for 10 years, forgot why they were in it in the first place. And so it's a powerful question to tie your goal to why you're doing what you're doing. You have a whole sandbox to play in this world, and you happen to be in real estate. Why? Okay, I get to make money. There's a mechanical aspect of that. That's right. Great. Why else? Why else? And tie that to your goals, so you wake up every day with that as your aim.
Love it. There's so much to unpack there. I had really two points, and one, do you think it first in order to do the activities you need to do, right? Or do you just start doing the activities and then it comes? For some people, it can go either way, I would imagine.
That's
absolutely.
the answer.
But the key is, you got to do something. I work with my kids all the time. I tell my kids, they're in high school and they play sports, and I'm like, you want to be really good, then you got to get up every day and you got to do something to improve yourself every day. That isn't, I'm going to do it tomorrow, or I'm going to do it the next day, because you start to see that separation, and it becomes really obvious when you equate these kind of things to sports and activities, physical. Like, I'm a cyclist, and I know that, for a decade I cycled, but I never really trained. I cycled, but then you realize you get up and you do the activities that are going to build your conditioning and and it's very obvious. But I don't think people always apply that to their work or their goal. And you said there's a certain amount of freedom that comes with being your own boss, this entrepreneur. That freedom can be a trap, because nobody's going to yell at me if I don't do it. But I love it. Head down, heart up, because it really is. And here's the key. I got a question for those people who've been in the business, right? So you people still in licensing, you might be interested in this answer coming up. I got a poll question for everybody. Play along again with me. Once again, these are anonymous, but it'd be really interesting to see what's happening, because I think you're right. There was a time, 2020, 2021, 2022, the beginning, where kind of all boats in the harbor were lifted, because the tide was in, the tide was up. Business was easy. You didn't have to do a lot of crazy different things. You basically had to have some relationships and you could sell homes. But now that the tide is maybe softening a lot and dropping in some areas, what are you going to do different in 2023? I know we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second, but because this is the key. What are you going to do for the right thinking, the right activities that's going to let you stand out and do things differently than those who aren't going to get off the couch? They're not going to do things differently because there's a separation that will happen. All right, here's my poll question. Are you ready? This is, did your business grow? For those of you who've been in the business, did your business grow in 2022? Obviously, if you're still in licensing, you just kind of watch this poll, but here we go. I'm going to launch this up. There's a bunch of different answers here for everybody. Once again, if you're on your cell phone, you may have to swipe a screen to get to this poll, but go at it. It actually slowed significantly. That's answer number one. Or it slowed a bit, but still a solid year. Or, well, you know what? My year was about the same as it was in 2021. We're just looking 2021 versus 2022. Or my business was up. Man, we did pretty good. Or man, my business grew significantly in 2022. Look at this. We've got a really balanced poll going. All right, give everybody about 3 seconds to finish. Go ahead. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. Look at this, Adam. 28%. My business slowed significantly. I did hear some people whose business was down 40 to 50% from the previous year.
Yeah. I
don't know how you guys were doing, but I slowed a bit. Solid year. Look at 19% said, yeah, still a solid year.
We were up between 50 and 80% in every category this year. And it's just, again, the only reason we're not any better than anybody else is, I think the reality of what we did is we just focused and had a plan and we executed on it. Remember, even if the market slows, there's still 4.5 million homes that sell. That's it's 9 million sides to be paid on, right? So it's like, I always equate this to like an Easter egg hunt with kids in the very beginning before everybody goes out, right? This is how I explain it to our team. Everyone's on the sidelines. You can spot all of the eggs everywhere, right? Like you can see them everywhere. And everyone's kind of looking on the side, like getting ready to go. All of a sudden, and then in 18 seconds, they're all gone and everyone starts standing up, looking around for where the next egg is. They're there. They're just harder to find. You got to go to a tailpipe. You got to open up a trunk. You got to go to bushes and start finding things. And that's the market that we're in now, which is in the last, and I actually think the 60% that are newly licensed actually have advantage of the people that have been in it for the last 2 years. And the only reason why I say this is because they're going to have to build new habits. They're going to have to build habits that allow them to succeed. Whereas the people that have been in it for a couple of years probably didn't have habits that are going to allow them to be successful in today's marketplace.
Interesting. They're going to have to unlearn what they learned.
And that's harder. That's hard. They have to do things that become unnatural to them, which you can wildly succeed. I got my license in 2005 and I doubled my business every year through the Greatest Depression. Right. And so, and I became the #1 selling agent in my state in 18 months. Right. That's not saying much because I live in Vermont and there's more cows than there are people. But if you just focus on things that you need to do, again, and it comes down to, this is as simple as it is, because we don't have time to break down every single thing. You have to be belly to belly. It's a contact sport with buyers, sellers, or investors. So this is how we think about it in our organization. We have what's called do the two, which is every week you need 2 appointments. And bear with me for 1 second. I'll do the math behind this, right?
Yeah, keep going.
So if you hold 2 new appointments per week, and we define a new appointment, Toby, as an opportunity to present a buyer or seller or investor with a buyer broker agreement or a listing agreement, right? That is what an appointment is called. 2 a week. Let's do the math. There's 52 weeks. You take 4 weeks off a year, 48 weeks. That leaves you with 96 appointments for the year. At a 75% conversion rate, which is a normal, you could probably be better, but that's an average conversion rate when you're actually in a presentation. 75% leaves you with about 65 signed agreements. If you convert that at 70%, which again is about average from what it is, leaves you with 50 pendings that you have for the year. If you close 90% of your pendings, you'll end up with 45 closed transactions every single year. And do the math, whatever your average sales price is times 45, that is a tremendous income in life that you can live. So it boils down to the simplistic nature. If you're entering into 2023, the only thing you should be focused on is, did I hold 2 appointments this week? The path is in the math. The rest is history.
Love it. So it's all numbers. frankly, right? You're in the lead generation business. You're in the appointment setting business. You are in the employment agreement business. You are in the closed transaction business. You don't get any of that without an appointment.
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly right. I mean, how else are you going to sell a house if you have a meeting from somebody? Like, it's like,
All right. Well, so I'm interested. What skills am I going to need? What different skills am I going to need in 2023 than we employed in 2022? I mean, I'm imagining, you're up year over year significantly. I know we saw the poll. There's a lot of people down, a lot of people, some people up, but you've got a recipe. You're probably already working on those skills. What are you seeing? What can you share with our people?
Yeah. Well, I think first, if you've been in the business, you have to understand that what happened in the last 2.5 years will probably never happen again in your life. So just check the box and move on. Just clear it from it. Don't expect that to be there or to come back in the summer or come back in the fall, right? Just mentally check that out. If you haven't been in the business yet, you don't need to do that. But for the people that are, check that out. For the 60% that aren't, the skills that you need to develop is very simple. You're going to have to build the habit of being face-to-face with the consumers. So how do you do that, right? You can call it whatever emotion you like, never giving up, staying persistent, staying focused. I like to think of it this way, Toby, is everything matters. It just doesn't matter equally. So when you start your morning every single day, by noon, you should just turn around, not literally, but just turn around and say, did what I do for the last 6 hours of my day actually move my needle? Did I communicate with somebody? Did I get a social media plan out there to help generate more leads? Did I do something that moved the needle? Because what the skill set of 2023 leaders, and I don't care if you run a team or by yourself, you are a leader, is going to come down to how efficient and effective you are at executing on your time. And it's how good are you at staying in what we call your 20%, which the Pareto principle basically says, it's called the 80-20 rule, where if you look at any organization, 20% of their salespeople make up 80% of their results. 20% of a company's product make up 80% of their profit, right? It's the same ratio that you find. So what you have to look at is how does 20% of my time produce 80% of my results? And then I have to protect that 20%. That will build your skill. If you nail that, you're gonna fail a whole bunch of ways. You're gonna do a bunch of things that aren't going there. But if you stay focused on it, I always say is like, you put your foot down on the gas, you put a couple nails through it, you're gonna hit a few people along the way, but you're gonna have enough money to clean it up. And so like that's as long as you can stay focused on it, that's what you're gonna have. That's the skill set. You also have to learn, conversations. That's the word we use for scripts, right? Conversations and role playing is absolutely critical. I mean, watch football. Does anybody just go run out in the field and start playing their game? No, they're there 3 hours before the game preparing. Treat your business the same way. It's your sport. So prepare yourself, role play with somebody, just warm up and then get right into calling it. Look, if you don't know who to call, literally go and make a list of 200 people that you know. And go and let them know that you're in real estate. It's as simple as this. Let them know you're in real estate and that you're really excited, and let them get one piece of advice that you can have and share it with them. That's it. You're going to screw up. You're going to get the numbers just by being face to face with people. I mean, it's not difficult. You just have to be willing to do what it takes.
You're exactly right. We have a coaching program, Real Estate Accelerator at Kaplan, that this is it. The program doesn't sit down and talk to you about how you negotiate the specifics of it's really about the business of lead generation. And it's really about the business of talking to people. And it's really about those activities over and over and over again, and what those activities are and what those scripts are and how you perfect your scripts and how you find your niche. And so I think you're spot on. It's once again about being belly to belly, talking to people about what you do, what's your expertise, how can you be of value to them in their needs in real estate? Because no matter where the market is, like you said, we might be at 5.3 million sales this year, whoever you listen to, and we might be at 4.8 million sales next year. 4.8 million sales is still 9.6 million transactions.
Exactly.
Transactions. This is all about transactions. Those Easter eggs, like you said, are out there. You got to work for them. This isn't just run out and everybody gets to put a couple in the basket. Now you're going to have to work for them.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you said where you're new in the business, you don't have to unlearn bad habits. Learn the right habits. Excellent. What attitude? How do you keep the right attitude and perspective, Adam, in this whole thing? What do you suggest people do? How do you keep it?
Well, I think it's about being proactive before you actually have to go do it. So I wake up every day and ask a simple question, Toby. And this is just an overall life philosophy, which is I wake up every morning when I gain consciousness, I ask myself, how do I want to feel today? And the answer is I want creativity, I want enthusiasm, I want joy, right? So that's a choice. So every morning I understand how I want to feel. And so then I just take that throughout the rest of my day. And I use business as this conduit for my personal growth. If there's a part of me that starts to get triggered or starts to get hit with something else, at that point in time, I will pause, let that part go, and then interact with life. But the mindset has to be is, this is a job for me. This isn't something I'm going to come in here and dabble in for real estate. And you just got to hear this. If you want to just come in and just put your feet in and your toes in, then you're probably not going to be that successful. And with the things that are happening right now, you don't have to go out there and do 30 or 40 transactions, but you've got to make this a job. And I think too many people have seen real estate as like a part-time excursion that I'll run into my neighbor and they'll sell a house for them and that'll be great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think there's a different way to approach this, which is instead of thinking about how do I create more time, Toby, the question that I like to ask is, how do I get better with the amount of time I'm willing to work? So if everyone had, unless you're Elon Musk and like working 23 out of 24 hours a day, I don't want that in my life. But what I do ask is, if I'm willing to work 8 or 9 hours a day, whatever that is for you, how good can I get in those hours? It's just a different way of framing your thinking around time. Instead of going, I need more time, I go, no, I don't need more time. I need to get better with a time audit.
Get better at that 20%.
Exactly.
Right? And make sure you don't lose sight of that 20%. That 20%, make it your strength, make it your golden hours, and turn it on. Love it. Because well, isn't that really the true nature of the entrepreneur, of the independent business owner, which is I'm not only, a job, but there's a lifestyle involved. And
Yes.
and I always tell people there's three things with a job is personal growth, personal time, or income. And those three things have to find a balance. If you're getting more personal growth, you might take less income. If you got more personal time, you might take less personal growth. But though you have to find the balance of where you're at. And frankly, there are a lot of people who do real estate part-time. I know people who do real estate part-time and they're brilliant at it because they concentrate on that 20%. Yeah. And they found that balance. You said earlier, when you're doing your business, when you're working, when you want to work and you have enough clients that support the lifestyle you want. So that, because people talk about the grind of real estate being a weekend, and I work when everybody else is off work. It's
only a grind if people are not focused on the discipline throughout the week. It's only a grind if you allow it to be a grind. It doesn't need to be. I hate when people say that, not necessarily you, but it's just like, it's only a grind if you're not focused. I will tell you that if you just become focused if everyone just stopped and lead generated for 2 to 3 hours every morning, this would not be a grind for you. It just wouldn't. What you'd actually find is that you find your stride and you're able to actually hit this. There may be some challenges in there. What I hear people say as grind is, it's hard for me to find these sales. Well, it's because you're not doing the activity that's required to actually go out there. And so therefore you label it as something that's very difficult to do. Sorry, it's
awesome. So we got some questions coming in on the chat. I got one here. It says, there seems to be so many people getting real estate licenses. How do you handle competition with so many agents out there? Adam, how do you handle the competition?
Yeah, well, competition is always going to be there. And by the way, it's actually declining. There's been 1.6 million realtors that are out there, and that number is going to drop significantly. So I actually think there's going to be less competition. However, that being said, how do you deal with any competition, which is be better than everybody else? It's just, I'm serious. It's as simple as that. It's not that, the cool thing about real estate, you can make and have this be a wonderful, lucrative career for the rest of your life if you just treat it like a job. Jobs can be awesome and fulfilling and fun. Job isn't like oh my God, I go to my job. It's your sport. So you show up and play all out. You just become curious about what's going on in real estate. How to, when you miss out on something, you find out why you missed out on it. You just become better. I used to, when I first got into real estate, I subscribed to I don't even know if it's there anymore, a script of the day. And I would take it, and I literally would take out a pad and I would get the script and I would literally write it out right? Every day. And then I would go try it out on somebody. So I'd go to Toby and say, hey, what do you think about this script? And so over time, I just developed like this repertoire of all these scripts that I could pull out. Because here's the thing, if a client, a buyer or seller comes to you, either they email you, they call you, or you're face-to-face with them, and you don't set an appointment with them, the hard truth is that they gave you an objection that you couldn't overcome. That's it. That's how you, and then you go, man, I missed that. How do I get better so I don't miss it again?
And practice. And sometimes practice is game practice, right? I mean, sometimes you don't have somebody you can bounce stuff off of, but and here's the key, and this is what we talk about in Real Estate Accelerator, is it's about the activity. You have a supercomputer on your shoulders. Everybody's got one. If you're here listening to this and watching this, you are smart enough to, your brain will figure it out. You get rejected enough time, your brain figures it out. You have to be able to get through that. You have to be able to adjust and manipulate and change the way you approach something. And like you said, that doesn't happen unless you practice it. I would imagine, Adam, you were not perfect at it. I'd imagine
I screwed up way more than everybody else in this call will ever screw up. That's the only reason why I can sit here and actually talk about it.
well, yeah, and you're still learning, right? I mean,
absolutely.
And I love that the fact that you talk about being a student. So we're getting a lot of questions about, how do I compete? How do I go in? And I love it. Treat it like a job. Go to work. Concentrate on your 20%. Make yourself a student of real. They talk about athletes like football players. Ooh, he's a real or she's a real student of the game. Be a student of the game. Know your area, know your market, know your resources. Who are you? Yeah. Go ahead.
One quick thing, because there's a lot of questions about this. Here's the thing. In the MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, that Gary Keller and Jay Papazian wrote, they found the ratio of 12-1 of your MET database. So people ask a lot about lead gen right now, and we'll leave with this. If you go out there and you have 240 people in your database, I don't mean leads that you've never met before. I mean people that you've actually met that you can put into a database, and you nurture the database, you should have a 12-1 ratio. So you have 240 leads in there that you're nurturing properly. It should generate you between 40 and 45 deals a year. So if people want a place to start, go get your 250 people and just make sure every one of them knows you're in real estate and you're adding value to that list every single week. That's it. You're done.
Solid. Adam, we could go on for hours, I'm sure. It's been a pleasure being with you. So much passion, so much energy. Gang, I know you got Adam's contact information. We had it up on the screen before. You'll get it when the video comes out again. Everybody, Adam runs a couple different organizations and is available for you. So Adam from Kaplan, once again, thank you for finishing our year. 2023, I think we agree, is going to be a challenging year for a lot of people. We're going to have a lot of people. Here's the other thing. I'll give one little bit of insight. There's a lot of people who didn't leave real estate in the last 3 years. There's a lot of people who maybe were retiring or ready to, and the phone kept ringing and it was easy. And now they're going to leave, or it gets a little bit harder than it was, and they don't want to work that hard. They don't really want that job. There will be people, like you said, going out of real estate.
Yeah.
There will still be homes to sell, right?
Absolutely.
4.8 million homes, 9.6 million transactions. We're here. 2023 is going to need your help. Adam, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you
All
later.
right. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.